He's not making a video on obscure Vietnamese cartoons. What's going on? Calm down. We'll be back to regularly scheduled programming soon. Yes, for this video, we won't be discussing anime and instead, a real life thing. Other than the fact that I have made non-anime videos in the past, I want views. I need views. My last video had absolute ass reception. What are those numbers, dude? Which I'm pretty heartbroken by because I worked fairly hard on it. It's there, you know. You can watch it. I don't know if it's whatever. The Boys is trending right now, and I will take advantage of that. But don't worry, I won't turn into a total view junkie like those Reddit text-to-speech channels. What happened when you stick your D na kuku woman? Are you appealing to kids or adults? What's your audience? Why am I getting recommended these? Other than that, I think I've made it clear in the past that I like superhero stuff. Not the comics, I can't find them anywhere here. Indonesia is a barren land for comics. I can still read manga though, because those are easier to pirate. So I mostly rely on the movies and TV shows, and while they're well made and fun to watch for the most part, one thing that's hard to argue is that none of it feels real, save a few exceptions. Even when they're trying to be realistic, it still feels like I'm looking at fictional characters doing fictional things. There is still a screen present between me and this world I'm trying to immerse myself into. The Boys has no such screen. When I'm watching, I'm inside this world among characters that feel less like characters and more like people. Sure, it may not be the best at being realistic, there are definitely other movies and TV shows that do it better, but what sets The Boys apart is its premise. Let's try Marriage Story for example. All throughout the movie, I needed to remind myself that these were actors saying lines that were made months before. Their performances were so authentic that, especially in the argument scene, I felt like I was peeping through a hole in the wall. But let's take a look at the premise. A previously married couple with a son together are now going through a divorce. It should be clear now why this movie is so immersive. 40 to 50% of marriages in the US alone end up in divorce. It's not hard to believe the events of the movie could actually happen or are seen as realistic by the audience. Now let's take a look at The Boys' premise. Superheroes are real and they're evil. While it may not be unique and may not reach the same highs as Marriage Story, it's impressive it's able to pull it off to any degree. And in this video, we'll basically be talking about how the show achieves this. Before we begin, I'll be borrowing the structure from probably my best made video so far, which is the BNA and Tokyo Ghoul comparison video, meaning we'll discuss the world, characters, and execution of the show. Just a heads up, I've seen all of Season 1 and I am 6 episodes into Season 2. Also, this video won't have that much comedy in it. All the jokes I tried to put in didn't fit, so the video is going to be pretty informational. I just want to let you guys know on the off chance that you're here because of the funnies. Without further ado, let's begin. Cosmic horror. I'm going to take a while to get to the point, but this part is necessary, so bear with me. Cosmic horror is a horror genre that focuses on the fear of what's beyond human comprehension. The fear of things that we, as humans, are just unable to understand. So how does this genre succeed? How can you picture something that can't be pictured? How can you describe something that can't be described? Well, look no further than legendary cosmic horror writer H.P. Lovecraft in his work, The Nameless City, which tells the story of a lone explorer who becomes the first and only living person in the entire world to explore a legendary ancient city so old not even its name is known. I'm going to show you a body of text from the story where the explorer is describing the city the moment he first enters.
In and out amongst the shapeless foundations of houses and places I wandered, finding never a carving or inscription to tell of these men, if men they were, who built this city and dwelt therein so long ago. The antiquity of the spot was unwholesome, and I longed to encounter some sign or device to prove that the city was indeed fashioned by mankind. There were certain proportions and dimensions in the ruins which I did not like.
Notice how, in some lines, the main character describes the city using words we can understand and are familiar with. Yet in others, he doesn't describe or can't describe parts of the city at all. This combination is extremely important. If the main character could describe the entire city, it wouldn't be cosmic horror. But if he couldn't describe it at all, the body of text would look a little something like this.
I walked into the city. Oh my, I cannot tell you about the city.
In order for our audience to believe in something unbelievable, you need to base it off elements that are believable. Woo! We made it to the point, guys. Took a while, but we got there. Pat yourselves on the backs. Nice. So how does The Boys make use of believable elements to sell its overall unbelievable world? The answer is simple. They use our world. All of the people in the show are living here, right now, in the 21st century. What do I mean by this? Let me show you something.
Vibranium secured.
Well done, my king.
Is my ride ready?
Of course, big brother. But you have to hurry.
Thanks for calling United Healthcare.
Hi, I need your help. I've been trying to find a knee specialist, but nobody has it opening for months.
Mr. Powers?
You can't always control your feelings.
Oh boy.
Hey, Bruce, you don't mind if I just take this last Coke, do you? Thanks, bye!
This show couldn't have come out at a better time. In this day and age, we are infatuated with superheroes. They are dominating every market. If this show came out 20 years earlier, it wouldn't have the same effect. We can now believe that if superheroes were real, we'd idolize them as much as they do in the show because we already are. But that's not all. The way the show portrays Vought, the company that owns and creates superheroes, takes heavy inspiration from real-life corporations as well, such as the movie, modeling, and sports industries. If superheroes were real, yeah, we'd make them star in our movies, use them as models to promote our products, and of course, superheroes would compete among each other to maintain their positions or move up the ranks, just like what athletes already do in real life. All these elements ease us into believing that this is a world where superheroes exist. A world isn't complete without its residents. Before we get into the superheroes, which is what I really want to talk about, let's get into the main group. The boys, if you will. I like how none of them can really be explained in one sentence. I notice that when writers create stories that include groups of messed up people whose broken pieces fit together to complete each other, they usually give the characters a thing, you know? This guy hates his dad. This guy hates his mom. This guy hates his sister. Excluding maybe Butcher and his whole wife ordeal, none of the boys have their thing, which is true to real life. People live lives that can fill a book that spans across hundreds of millions of pages and are way too complex to be summed up in a single sentence. That's enough for that. Time for the superheroes. We can apply the same logic we used in the last section, where by using believable elements, our suspension of disbelief can be pushed to the point where we start to believe in superheroes. In this show, each of the main superheroes represent a different aspect of star/celebrity culture, except for Homelander, which we'll get into, and Black Noir, which we won't get into. Starlight is our pure, hopeful, and optimistic newbie who believes that by joining this industry, she'll be able to live a perfect life being an idol that inspires and helps people, who soon realizes that the industry isn't what it's made out to be. It actually kinda sucks. Queen Maeve is an older Starlight who has already succumbed to the corruption of the industry. The Deep is a celebrity who is going through cancel culture, trying to better himself in today's climate, and A-Train is an athlete fighting to keep his position on the team, going as far as to use performance enhancement drugs to achieve this. Homelander may not be someone many of us relate to or know personally in real life, at least not to his extent, but we can still view him as realistic because he's a product of the environment he grew up in. I never read or indulged in any evil Superman storyline, so I could be wrong here, but I feel like a story like that could never work. Despite being an alien from another planet, Superman had a loving family, a girlfriend, and even a dog at some point. Even if he's not human on the outside, he understands what it means to be human on the inside. He loves humans so much he dedicates his life to saving them. And then Lois Lane dies and he does a human bad return to monk. Homelander was raised as a lab rat without ever meeting his parents, and the only interactions he got once he left the lab were either people being scared of him or treating him like a god. Specifically, the symbol of America. It makes sense that he'd end up becoming an egotistical maniac who only cares for attention, and it makes sense that when he actually tries to create relationships with people, they become twisted and gross and inevitably end in failure. While his specific case isn't one that occurs in real life, it still feels real because if anyone in our world were to go through his experiences, they'd act the exact same way. Last, and definitely not least, is execution. It's arguably the most important. Having a good world and characters is good and all that, but without good execution, it all falls apart. So does The Boys have good execution? It's okay. Overall, the show is executed fine, but there's one glaring problem I'll get into. For now, let's start with the positives. The soundtrack is pretty good, but I won't listen to it outside of the show. None of the tracks are that memorable. The only one that really stuck out were Truck Robbery and maybe Vought. The visuals may look a little plain and boring to some, but I don't find that a bad thing. If the shots were packing as much meaning as Parasite, it would lose the realism I was praising it for. Even then, the shots aren't empty. They serve some purpose, like this shot, where Huey is introduced. Notice the A-Train mouse he's adjusting. Narratively, it foreshadows just how big of a part A-Train plays in Huey's character, but it also subconsciously conveys to the audience just how dominant superheroes are in this world, without anyone saying a word. Or this shot, where Huey and Annie are talking on the staircase and this one runner passes by. Other shows would have blocked this staircase out from other people while the main characters are using it, but this show doesn't, because by doing this, the audience gets to feel that this is a world populated by millions of other people living lives vastly different from our main characters. Both these shots help visually boost the realism of the show. The actors are all competent, nothing to complain there, but Homelander is excellent. The range of emotions Anthony Starr can pull is incredible. There's happy, angry, disgusted, gamer, envious, sadistic, neuron activated, couldn't care less. Sometimes it's a mix of multiple, and other times it's an emotion I can't describe. However, I have to say the other actors aren't given enough credit for having to deal with the horrible dialogue. Let's get into what I hate about the execution. The dialogue is really hit or miss. Not with Homelander, everything he says is perfect. But there's some really bad lines too, and I think it got worse in Season 2, which is home to lines like,
"How does everyone feel about you helping your traitor f***ing boyfriend escape?"
As well as,
"But if you want to kill me, because I'm not a murderer and I won't straight up execute someone, then go ahead."
Dialogue is one of the best ways to make a show feel realistic. Bad dialogue is really immersion breaking. Another thing that fits into my problem with the dialogue is the swearing. I'm not a person who has a problem with swearing. In fact, in media, it has its uses. Swearing can carry a lot more weight and can show how strongly a character feels about the situation he's in. I'm fine with the excessive gore and violence. You laser people, they're gonna melt. It's realistic. But when everyone swears all the time, the effect is gone. Quick! We need a scene for the trailers! I got an idea.
Don't be a see laser my f***ing tits.
Who says that? I've seen the way normal people talk. It's not like this. At least I think so. It's really hard to tell what she's saying to her boyfriend when this tree I'm sitting on is so uncomfortable and her window is abnormally small. Another minor annoyance I have is with the superhero costumes and their fake muscles. I was hoping they'd fix it for Season 2, but no, it's the same. It doesn't disrupt the immersion as much as the dialogue does, so I don't really count it as a problem. By now, I think I've made it clear that The Boys, while not the best example on how to make a realistic story, does it pretty well. I have no smooth segue into this, so just roll the outro.
Hey guys, I haven't done these unscripted parts in a while, but I just want to say that I appreciate you watching this video. Thank you so much. And if you liked the video, you can leave a like. If you didn't like the video, you can also leave a like. Nothing stopping you, why not? And if you're a really nice person, you can share this video with a friend or comment something down below. Comment anything. Anything at all. Comment anything. It doesn't just help the video out, but I do genuinely read those stuff. Bye.